Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next stream in my GameMaker Studio 2 chess development series. Um, First couple minutes of the stream are actually just going to be me playing around with my audio settings, uh, because I've started having some mic issues since the last stream, so yeah, unfortunate, but that's how it is. Alright, I'm gonna... Alright, let me see if this helps. Okay. How are we sounding? Let me go and just wait for the stream as I can hear it to catch up to me in real life. Yeah, this is professionalism. I guess until, we really... Oh, that's crunchy. Okay, it's actually not too bad. I'm gonna go with it. So, all right, first things first, thank you to everyone who joined the Coalition Discord after my last stream. I'm really excited to have a lot of people following what I'm doing and here to see what I'm passionate about. So let me actually just go post the link in the Discord right now, and live now with the highly anticipated next entry in my GameMaker chess development stream series. Yay. Alright. Now that's posted. If you want to be not only notified when I when I do these projects, but also have the opportunity to talk with me about programming, ask questions, or just chat about whatever, you should click the link in the description and join the Coalition Discord server. Now, without any further ado, let's just jump into it. Ah, I see a chat message. Hang on, let me figure out how to read chat. Oh boy. Oh boy. I can see chat messages exist, but I can't see what they are. Okay, let's fix this. Let's fix this. I'll just go to the stream that I'm currently doing on YouTube and read the chat from there instead of just doing it through my OBS like I should. Oh, hi Ryan. I know you're very very intrigued by this. All right. So, I had looked into I looked at my last stream again so that I don't have what happened last time, where, if you recall, I went into it and I was like, wow, I don't remember how my code works at all. I did watch back some of the last streams so that I at least will have a vague idea of what's happening, and an idea of what precisely the next thing we're going to do is. Now, what's funny is that I know... Here it is. I know I left a note in here somewhere that said what we're going to do today. That's going to be castling first and foremost, and, once again, check stuff if time, and then go from there. So, if we boot up the game right now, we can get, you know, the, wait a second, is this the queen or the king? This is the queen. I did it on the wrong side. Look, whatever, it's fine. Uh, we, um, we don't have the capacity to castle the king at all, you know? Um, and that's because, all all of the code that we need to understand for this is in this file. Now castling is initiated by a movement of the... Is it a movement of the king? Let me look. Yeah. Okay. Castling in chess. Or the rook. Okay, so we already created this variable that determines whether a piece has moved for use with the pawn piece. So that's one thing that's going to be important here. Oh, you're not allowed to castle out of or through check. Okay, so the king moves to castle. Can castle to either side, but there's a couple conditionals. So we're gonna go in here and say, just make a comment here. Conditions for castling. One. Sorry. One will be, you cannot pass through a tile where your king would be in check. Two, you cannot castle if you are in check. Three, which actually, this one's a little ambiguous because what I was looking at on chess.com said you cannot castle out of check. So the question that I have is, I assume this means you cannot castle if you are in check. What it could also mean is that you can castle, but only if... Oh, right, but you can't make a move that would put you into check, so you couldn't castle from one check to another. Gotcha. I might almost note that down. Obviously, you cannot make a move that puts you in check. Three, you can only castle if the rook and king have not moved. Four, no pieces may be between them. Okay. So what I'm seeing in my head right now, let me say this. I'm seeing this let me set up the board like this. It would be nice to have debug on this, but that's frankly not going to be worth the time. Okay, so let's okay. So now what I'm imagining is that you can grab the king here, and you see these two green tiles highlight, you know, the positions he can move to normally. And there will be an additional green tile here because all of those other conditionals are met. And if you place it there, then you castle. I could almost have a special indicator on the tile denoting that that's not a normal movement, that's a castle, but I think that will be obvious to anybody who's familiar with chess, so probably won't do that. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get in. Um, all of the code that we have in here right now is building the movable tiles that uh, that those will still be there and that code will still be run even if the castling does happen. So we'll leave that totally alone. What? Okay. So let's just build a big goofy if statement for this whole thing first and foremost before we worry about actually drawing the tiles. We're just going to make a big if statement conditional. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, actually, castling, at least the rules of castling, are kind of dependent on already having established check to be something that happens. So I guess we actually want to tackle check first. And I will, controversial, actually make another script instead of putting everything into this like 300 line script that I have now. Is in check and have an input variable of team. So this script will simply tell us if the king of the specified team is in check, and this will probably be called around like a lot of stuff in the legality checker. King is in check. So what we need to do, okay. So there's two ways you could approach this. One of them is a lot easier and a lot less efficient. One of them is harder and a lot more efficient. Obviously, I'm going to go with the latter. It will also make for a good lesson on some of the fundamental skills that go into things like ray tracing, actually. So let's first start with a ray tracing analogy. Let's say that I have, a 1080p screen, and I need to calculate with, in a big complex room with a bunch of light sources and walls and objects and whatever, the light amount reaching every pixel on the screen. You could either start from every light source, cast out beams of light in every possible direction, calculate them bouncing off of every object, every wall, everything, then determine if they hit the camera. Or you could start from every pixel on the camera screen and cast a ray of light backwards and determine if it hits a light source. That second method, it's not as intuitive, but it's way faster. And that's actually what we're going to be doing here. So instead of the easy method, which is A, going for every piece on the for every piece on the opposing team, we're going to see if they can make a move that would take the king. Instead, we're going to treat the king as every piece type and see if the king can make a move to take any opposing piece. And if so, then the result is true, we're in check, and if not, then it's false. Now, the big The big difficulty on this will be our good old friend pawns, because their movement is not symmetrical. Every other piece, you take... I guess, actually, the pawns probably won't be that bad, because I guess I was thinking it would be a problem because they take in a different way than they move normally. But when you think about it, like, it still works. It's still symmetrical, actually. So, yeah, the method of simulating the king as every piece type, running our legality checker, and then seeing if we hit anything, that'll actually work. Now, here's two problems with this. One, it will, if we do it just in the way I just laid out without changing anything, it will cause memory overflow. Because the legality checker will be calling is in check for all of these. So we'll need some kind of conditional telling it to not do that. Oh. Well, it'll call is in check for the opposite team. Which, I guess now that I think about it, part of determining if you're in check is knowing if the opposite team is in check. Right? No, that could never happen. Because theoretically, you know, if one of your opponent's pieces could take you on the next turn, then you are in check. So you could be in a position where, like, you're diagonal from a bishop, but if your opponent is in check, that piece can't take you on the next turn, except that I guess winning the game technically takes you out of check. And also, what I realized is that you could never get to that position to begin with. That's not a real game state, because that would require a player to have made a move that put them in check. Like, you couldn't move... Say you had something between you and the bishop, and you moved that thing, say it was a rook, to put the opponent's king in check. That's not a legal move. Or... is it? Because technically it doesn't put you in check. I think that the way that chess is played is that, no, that's not a legal move. The way that I understand the rules to be, though, would indicate that it is. I'm going to go with no, but I will do more research on this. I might have just made the discovery that broke chess, but, you know, whatever. So, yeah, we'll have a conditional in here. That says if this method is being called from the is in check method, we're not going to run the is in check method. 2, we are we're going to not want to draw the tiles. And this is where I have to admit, guys, I did a bad job. I did something terrible. And that something terrible is this method doesn't really do what it says it does. My computer science 227 teacher would not be pleased with me, because this method says that it's just going to check if a move is legal, but instead it checks if the move is legal, and if it's legal, then it draws tiles. So this should actually be 2 scripts. And now that I really think about it, that might be the first like serious programming work that we do today is to make this 2 scripts. So I think what we could do from here is to return an array of all of the tiles that constitute legal moves. This method might be a bit different. Okay, how do I want to think about this? So what we want is for legality checker to stop drawing tiles. Instead, we're going to return an array of all of the possibly legal tiles. Then, when we invoke legality checker in here, where do we do that actually? Pretty sure it's in this method, but maybe not. We're actually going to have a different wrapper method that is like check legality and draw tiles. So let's create that method. So we're going to want the same. Okay. Also, another thing that I've learned since my last stream is that you can just put arguments in here. And that way it will give a warning if you don't have the amount of arguments specified, which would be good for our purposes. So we can know if we've messed up our code instead of just having the game randomly crash. So we're just going to go ahead and on this method and the legality checker, we're just going to move all of the arguments into the parentheses here. All right, so it looks good. And now for the legality checker. Oops. The X, Y. Now these, I don't know if this changes. I don't know if this changes the scope of these variables. So we're going to run the game and make sure everything still works. Yeah, okay, everything looks fine. So that didn't break anything. What it did do is now if we try to call legality checker without providing these 3 variables, it will give us a warning. Which it's generally best practice to do that, I would say. Okay. So this, we want to... Excuse me. This generate tile could also be split into 2 methods, and that I think is where we're going to start. So we're going to have a calculate tile method. And that is going to take these inputs from the generate tile method. So just yoink. Actually, we'll keep those in here so we can just call calculate tile with them. I guess actually it would make more sense. Okay, we're gonna just take this. Turn gen x, gen y, and that's that. Now, okay, why is it mad at us? Oh. Okay. Now we're going to go to the legality checker. Not the legality checker, the generate tile. I'm not going to take all of these inputs. We're just going to take an array and okay. So now we can, when we do generate tile for these, we can change all of our generate tiles. And you see we get warnings now for using the wrong number of arguments, which again is a very good thing to have. Ultimately in here, we're going to have calculate tile called in all of these places instead of generate tile. And we will create an array of calculated tiles. We're going to rename this to tile. Tile could be like a struct, but I don't think that really makes sense for this. Okay, so we're going to create this ouch, tiles variable equals that. It's an empty array. And now every time we would call generate tile, we're going to instead array push calculate tile that. Okay, what's the problem here? Oh, I see it. No, wait, we do want that second one. Oh, we didn't actually tell it what array to push it to. That's not good. What do we call the array? Out tiles. Array push out tiles, calculate tile, and then we need another parenthesis. All right, that one's all good. Array push out tiles. Okay, so here's what I'm going to let you guys chew on while I finish doing this. Generate tile. I think we're going to make this have be able to take an array of tiles as input. Could make a separate script that like generate tiles from array. That would maybe be better for code readability. Yeah, we might as well do that. I think that's what we'll do. Array push out tiles. Oops. Calculate tile. I wish that this task was just a little bit less mentally engaging so that I could like talk to you guys. tiles, calculate tile, go, array, push, tiles, tile. Okay, so good. Oh my god, we're only halfway through this. Hit edge. Okay, wait. So does generate tile return something? Returns whether or not the tile generation failed. Which, you know what? This would be a good thing to include. This is all gonna go into calculate tile. But instead of this, we're going to we're gonna move this return statement into here. And if it fails, we're going to return -1. We'll keep that show debug message. Okay, so now in the generate tile method, we have like nothing. We're going to instance create layer gen x. It actually makes more sense to say tile 0, tile 1. What is it? It's are we putting it on instances _1, or are we putting it on instances? Okay. Okay. Wait, stop. Okay. Bam. This is what we're isolating. Just that. Let's create layer, tile 0, tile 1. There you go. Okay. It's gonna have the potential. Okay. If tile equals -1, return false. Okay. So that's just gonna tell us. This is just making sure if we try to draw a tile off the board, it doesn't just crash. And here, now this is actually now being the opposite of what it's supposed to. So we are going to say equals. So this method actually serves two purposes when we use it here. I'm using it here to both determine if the tile is true or is valid, and also place the tile if it is valid. So this is actually going to change into we'll just comment this for now. If okay, tile equals, we'll call it tile 0 equals tile with these arguments. If tile 0 equals -1, then hit edge, which we've already initialized, equals false. Wait, true. Else hit edge equals false. Array push. Tiles. Tile 0. Oh, wait, but this should only be if it's not an edge. Okay. We're gonna have something that complicated again? Yes. But we can actually just copy the exact same code. And once again here. Okay, now we run the game and see if it crashes. Yep, it does not work. Oh, right, it doesn't work because we never made it generate the tiles. Duh. So in here, when we call legality checker, which is maybe not in here? Oh, it must be the game manager that's calling legality checker. It wouldn't make sense to call it for every... But yes, it does. Okay, here's what we're calling it. So let's make this method generate tiles from array. Tile array for I equals 0, I is less than array length tile array I plus plus. Wait, no, this is where we actually would use a for each. For tile array. Call it entry. Okay. Does for each not work in GameMaker? Is it its own separate thing? Okay, I think that the type of the classical for each that I want to use just does not work in GameMaker. Oh, thank you for the lovely chat messages. sex-69.fun. Yes, we're gonna go for I equals 0, I is less than array length tile array I plus plus. Okay, so we're just going to generate tile array I. Now we'll jump back to step and say we're going to generate tiles from array galaxy checker ID XY. Bam, and we run, and it might crash. Okay, it doesn't crash, it also just doesn't work. Oh, because we never return... Oops, I don't know what I just closed. We never returned the turn out tiles. Now is it gonna work? It does work. Everything seems to function as expected and intended, which is beautiful. Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right, so we've got that all set up, and now what does this mean for seeing if a piece is in check? Because remember, that's actually what we did all of this for, the last like 30 minutes or whatever of work. This was all to say, now when we see if a king is in check, we want to call this method without drawing the tiles. Now, sorry about that. I totally peaked the mic. Okay, so what we're going to need to do, we are going to call this method as the king when we do is in check. And we're going to have a variable here. King is in check equals is in check. Team. Underscore team, that is. Okay. So all we want is to say that if we call this method from is in check, we don't run this. This is where we can have an optional argument. Check for check equals true. So that the way that works now is that true is the default value for that argument. Okay, actually makes more sense to say is in check team x check for check and is in check. So what will happen here, I at least assume that GameMaker works this way, is that we're going to go in here and calculate king is in check, and the first thing we're going to see is check for check. If that's true, then the value of check for check and is in check is dependent on the value of is in check. If it is false, then it's not. Because if the first argument is false, then the conditional can never be true. The logical statement can never be true, even if the second argument is true. Which means that most languages will just skip out on running the second argument. Which means no risk of a stack buffer overflow here, or an infinite, recursion or whatever. And now we're going to write the is in check method, I think. So we can get rid of calculate tiles, check legality, and draw tiles. Okay, so we are going to want okay. Let's think about this more. Because we actually don't want to we don't want to go through the whole legality checker method again every time. We want to check if the king is in check. That's a lot of unnecessary code to be run. Because let's say that the king is in check by a pawn. We do this, we test the king as a pawn, we go backwards and find every possible position that he could go to as a pawn, test if there's a pawn there. If there is, the king is in check. Then we go and run all of the rest of this code for no reason. Needless to say, that's not ideal. What is unfortunate, though... Okay. No, never mind. I'm not gonna... sorry. Okay. Okay. We're gonna go and run it through one at a time. First testing the king as a pawn, and then we're gonna stop and say, is the king in check? And we're gonna leave the is in check method early if the king is already in check. Repeat that for every piece type. Because I was thinking in my head we would just find every tile the king could... Yeah, no. We're just going to go through the pieces one at a time. Now, what we're going to need for this is... hey, I made this method. What does that do? Right, this is what I was gonna do. Technically, I think this is actually less efficient, but it's more readable. Kind of. I don't know if this is the right play or not, but I'm sticking with it now that I did it. No, never mind. This makes no sense. Why would I create a whole script just to run one line of code that's only going to be run once? I'm going to delete the check legality and draw tiles method. Generate tiles from array is all done. Generate tile, we're not going to be doing any more work on. Okay. So what we want to go through here and do is... Let's get this ID... Okay. Why does it seem like type is an instance variable, but team is not? Top 10 questions science still can't answer. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Um, what was I doing? I had to stop my ADHD meds. Oh boy, this is where we get the mid-video ramble section. Um, I so I wasn't having that much effect from my ADHD meds. Like they were helping a bit, but not like a lot. Um, and so I was increasing the dosage, just periodically. I only started out. I was on guanfacine. I only started out at 1 milligram. Which is really not a lot of guanfacine. However, I am also quite underweight. Um, and so my doctor was like, we could safely put you on up to like 4 milligrams of guanfacine. But we want to start, at 1 just to make sure your blood pressure doesn't, die. Um, and so I started on that. It helped a little bit. Really not much noticeable effect, though, and it didn't affect my blood pressure at all or anything like that. Moving up to 2 milligrams. Still not that much noticeable effect on my ADHD. Also didn't really affect my blood pressure or anything. Um, uh, and then, we moved up to 3 milligrams. And oh, but you know what did start happening to me around that time? I didn't think anything of it. I started falling asleep in class, just like randomly. I would just fall asleep when like somebody was in the middle of talking, Um, but I didn't think too much of it. And then I went to 3 milligrams. And then suddenly, like 3 days after I upped my medication, I started having awful, awful dry mouth. Like it was so dry. I don't think my body was producing any saliva, like at all. Um, so I was drinking water constantly. Um, and suddenly I was falling asleep in my classes again, like with some regularity. I was like, what is, oh, sorry. I was like, what is going on? Let me try. If I remove, okay, I might be a little quieter now. Also less likely to peak my mic, I think. Yeah. Um, I'll kick this up maybe 3 decibels. I'll kick it up. Uh, we'll put it up 2 decibels. Okay, let me just properties 12. Okay, how is this? Yeah, okay. This is what we're gonna go with, I think. So anyways, yeah, so I was just having this awful dry mouth and like just falling asleep in the middle of class, and then I was like, wait a second. This like correlates really well with me starting to increase my dosage on my medication. And like I was like, okay, I can't deal with this genuinely. Like it was causing me more problems just having to drink water like constantly. Hang on. Sorry about that. I just wanted to see if my mic was gonna peak. And that was starting to cause me more problems than the guanfacine was helping. And so I just stopped taking it. And I could just go back down in dosage to 2 milligrams, but I just don't feel like it was really helping that much anyways. So I might try to start something else. My doctor didn't want to put me on stimulants because I'm already very underweight and don't eat, and that's like what stimulants do to you, is they make you not have an appetite. So that would not be good for me. But
But yeah, maybe there'll be some other options that we can figure out. Anyways, um, so what we need to do is run through here, and then we're gonna have a method that is get piece at tile. Uh, get piece at tile. Now, do we have... Do the pieces store a variable that's... Oh, they do. Let's go. Okay. Let me think about what is going to be the best way to do this. Because, again, we don't want to... We don't want to go through every piece in order and say, are you on this tile? No. Are you on this tile? No. We could try to use collisions for that, but that seems so janky. That using collisions feels like it would be a really weird way to try to calculate where it would be a really weird way to try to calculate what piece was at a tile position. What we could have is potentially okay. We could have an array representing the game state, like a 2D array that represents the game state that says where all of the pieces are. And then when a piece moves, it moves on that array as well. That is potentially one way we could do this. Sadly, it's the best way I can think of at the moment because I really don't want to wrap collisions into this. That just seems like not a good idea. And even instance nearest, I don't know, we could give that a shot, I guess. Isn't that a thing we can do? Just say instance nearest to a point. Yeah. Let's give instance nearest a shot. I just don't know how that... The problem is that I am very anal about code efficiency. So since I don't know how that method works, dang it, you guys haven't been able to see the game in any of the times that I've been testing it. Let me fix that real quick. Okay. Hey, I figured out how to not leak my Discord next time, which is to uncheck make source visible when I'm creating the thing. Um, okay. See, what I was getting at, I'm very obsessive about my code being as efficient as it possibly can. Um, and part of that obsession is a really intense feeling of like needing to write my own code if I don't understand how a method works. Like if I don't know how a method works on the back end, I am far more likely to just write my own method instead of using the existing method, which, don't get me wrong, that is not best practice. I really don't think, because like we're talking about code that was written by, a big professional company with lots of really brilliant programmers working on it. Um, I promise you, it is as efficient as it can possibly be at the task of finding the nearest instance of an object type to a position on the board. I simply don't know how fast that is in comparison to checking positions on an array that we're updating in real time. I think just for the sake of not wasting a lot of time, we'll use instance nearest for this. But if anybody who's been following along with this series at all wanted to give a shot at making an array that updates in real time, that'd be pretty cool. And definitely, show me that. Like hop into my Discord and yeah, show me, because I think that'd be really awesome. But uh, and the likely case that nobody does that because that would be insane, I can live with it, and we'll just use instance nearest. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create okay, so we're gonna create, yes, this get piece of tile method. We're going to take an input tile, and we're going to get the literal point in space. Okay, so what I worry about, let me just explain this before we really move on. Let me pull up the room again. That's what I accidentally closed earlier. What I worry about really is do we have an array representing the initial game state somewhere? Oh, this is a really questionable way to do this. That is so many magic numbers. Okay, note to self. We'll fix this, but do it later. We're gonna make an of initial positions for pieces. Change piece type to match array. Entry for that position. 2D. Okay, so we'll get to that later.
what I worry about just a little bit with instance nearest is simply the case that we like, because like these, I just the board position variable that we've established will always be like totally accurate. Positions in GameMaker are fallible for a number of reasons. But it's whatever. If we say instance nearest to a point on the board, that should always be the tile, the piece on that tile. I just don't like the ambiguity of that, but I'm gonna have to power through, you guys. I wish me luck. Oh my god, I am so mad. I had that covering my code for so long. I didn't really write anything important. I just wrote that little note to self. Oops, I made a breakpoint. I wrote that little note to self in here. And I was showing just that positions in GameMaker are floating points. And just I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't know how to explain it. I just don't like it. I get a bad feeling when I think about using instance nearest for this task. I get a bad feeling. But whatever. It'll be fine, I hope. And if it's not fine, we can always do it differently later. Just for the love of God, if somebody finds a case where this breaks, please let me know, and I will just redo the whole thing. Regardless, so this a piece's X and Y position should be equivalent X to board X times tile size, Y to board Y times tile size. So we're going to say nearest piece equals instance nearest. Okay, and then X is going to be tile dot, or no, tiles in array, so tiles 0 times global tile size, tile 1 times global dot tile size, and then if nearest piece dot board X equals tile 0 and nearest piece dot board Y equals tile 1. Was I supposed to capitalize the T in tile size? I can never remember. Hello? What's this error? Instance nearest. Oh, right. I need to specify the type of object. Piece object. Okay. Now we're going to, yes, that's the right name. Wait, what were we gonna do? Oh, okay. I guess I should explain first why this conditional is here, because if the tile that you're checking is empty, then this will just tell us the closest tile to that, which again will actually probably depend somewhat on floating point precision and possibly a bit of randomness. And either way, it's not going to be a tile that's actually on that board position. So we need to not have that tile be returned. This is how we're making sure that it's only returning the tile if it's turn nearest piece dot ID, which is how we've been referring to everything here, is just by ID. Which I think that return nearest piece and return nearest piece dot ID might actually do the same thing, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'm going to leave it like this. Otherwise, we're going to return little programming tidbit for the day for anyone who's not aware. We do not need to... Let me turn down the stream quality on my... I'm running this stream in the background so I can check chat that way because my OBS chat thing is not working well. What was I saying? Oh, so tidbit for anybody who doesn't know this, which I imagine most of you do, but you know, we don't have to put an else statement here because when we return here, nothing after that runs. So yeah, that's why we don't have an else statement there. Okay. So now we have that get piece at tile method, and it returns -1 if there's no piece. So I'm gonna go through here. We're gonna run. Actually, we're going to make. Okay. This is taking in an ID for the team and the type of the piece. And that's only referenced right here. So what we could do that would be a little goofy, and guys, don't do this. This isn't a good idea, but I'm going to do it. We're making a simulated piece. Simulated piece constructor. Oops. Team type. I guess we'll take underscore team underscore type as the in variables. Team equals underscore team type equals underscore type. So what we've done here is that this is not an object, it's a struct, which is like a virtual object that holds both of the pieces of data that we need to pull from ID. So we can actually just pass an instance of this constructor as the ID variable instead of an actual object ID, and I am 99% sure that that will work just fine. Is it best practice? Definitely not. But you can do it. Um, so then what we need to do, first of all, is we need to find the king. Uh, this, I will admit, is gonna suck. I don't know how we're gonna find the king. The only thing I can think of is going through and asking every piece individually, are you the king? Which is a terrible idea, and I will do anything I can to avoid it. But I'm not actually 100% sure it can be avoided for this specific thing. Uh, oh, okay. We're going to make a global variable. We'll make global variables that refer to both of the kings at the beginning of the game. Uh, so when we have the piece object dot create, we're going to, when you're the king, we're going to make, okay, look, so game manager create global dot kings equals that. So then when we generate the piece object, if you're the king here, you are global dot kings team equals ID. Okay, so now we have this global variable that tells us the kings. And we're going to say king equals global dot kings team. All right, there we go. We don't have to search through every piece individually. This would obviously fall apart if a team had two kings, which does somewhat conflict with my goal of wanting this to be a pretty malleable game engine, but let's be honest, I kind of made it a nightmare already with my whole this. But yeah, I think it's not worth it to try to do anything more fancy or complicated with this, just for the sake of making it be more adaptable. Because let me say, the other thing, part of why I want to make it adaptable is that I've said before, I'm working on an RPG with Coalition, which is one of the reasons you should join the Discord server to get news about that as soon as it's, announced. And chess is going to play a prominent role in this RPG. That's why I'm making this chess engine. Is because playing chess against other characters is going to be like a thing that you do, like to build your relationship with some of them. And the the different characters, not only will they all have different playstyles, but not all of them actually know the rules of chess. And so they'll play it and they'll break rules and they'll make like illegal moves. And you can like call them out on it, or not. But I obviously want the engine to be adaptable enough for them to just straight up do things that are not legal. Or like change the rules of the game in some way, like laying out the pieces in the wrong order or whatever. I think that'd be funny. And then the other part of the reason is just because, like, hey, this is like, a follow along series, and like, sure, you can use this to follow along and perfectly recreate the chess engine that I've made. And if you want to do something different with it, if you want to do crazy house chess, then you can do that without having to massively change the fundamental structures of it. Um, yeah. So now that we've found the king, we're going to say, uh, okay, we're going to make a for loop that runs through and uh, tests the king as every possible piece type. So there's pawn, bishop, rook, knight, king, queen, which is 6. Uh, int I. Oh, we don't need int in GML. 0, I is less than 5, or 6, I plus plus. Okay, so now we're going to have if I equals 0, and we're going to make this piece equals related piece. I don't know. We'll make it a king when we initialize or whatever, or we'll just make it. We'll give it a set type and set team method. I guess we don't need that. I forget this isn't like Java. We can just reach in there and change the variables. Okay, the other thing I'm seriously questioning that I did like way back at the beginning of the series, this whole denoting the type with uh string doesn't make sense when we could just use an enum. Uh, what was the order that I had them in pawn, rook, knight, bishop, queen, king. Okay. Okay. So we have that now. And we're gonna find and replace all of the. I'm gonna change this to e piece types
because that's easier to write. Piece types. No, we're gonna pawn, and we're gonna make that dot. Okay, now this is gonna be one of the most dangerous things that I've done in this series, because find and replace is not an undoable function, I believe. Not on a global level anyways. So if I screw this up, that's going to be a bit of debug time to figure out what I did wrong, but all right, let's just run the game and see if it crashes. Oh boy. Oh wait, that's just in here. Uh Okay, this actually looks fine then. Okay. Okay. I definitely thought this underscore K. Well, I guess this is. What pieces does this apply to? It's only the king. That I can live with. Because we're going to fix that. Uh, we could just take this out, I think. The king only ever moves one tile, so we don't need to. Okay, this seems fine now. This seems to be working. Okay, now we jump back into is in check. We're going to take out this automatically return false and actually investigate what that error was. Do we have to say new? I think we do, actually. Okay, it looks like it's not breaking anymore, which is great. Which also means we can say sim piece dot type equals I. Bam. Took out a million conditionals we were gonna have to write. By a million I mean 6. Uh, and we're gonna say if, well, I guess now we're actually gonna write those conditionals anyways. It's just we've compacted 6 lines of code into 1 line of code. I piece types dot pawn, then no, I think now actually we do that, and then we legality checker sim piece king dot board x king dot board y false. So this will return an array of tiles that we could move to if we were a pawn. And then with that array, we need to go and okay. Okay, so we're gonna store this array of tiles we could move to if we were a pawn. And then for each item in that array, what are we gonna call the array? That's the real question. Tiles to check. There we go. And I equals 0, I is less than array length, tiles to check, I plus plus. Okay. We're going to piece equals get piece at tile. Tiles to check I. If piece dot type equals oh, we need to make this not I. We'll make this J, because it's you cannot have 2 for loops with the same variable name with one nested inside of the other one, because that creates some problems. I mean, you can, but like it will never work the way you expect it to, or it won't work well, and there's a better way to do it. Piece.type equals I and piece.team equals opposite of our team. Return true. Because that means that piece is able to take us, unless it's a pawn. Unless it's a pawn. Because if it's a pawn, then okay. If we're gonna return opposite of is I equals piece types on pawn and king dot board y equals piece dot board y, because if they're on the same y position, that means that they're just moving straight, and therefore they're not actually able to take the piece. Oh, but a pawn can't move on to a piece where another piece is anyways. So that actually is fine. So we can just return true. And then if none of that happens for any piece, return false. And that tells us if we're in check. Wow. That was a lot of work. So question is, what's going to be the best way to test this before we fully implement it? Oops. Okay, so what we need to do is test this method somehow. We'll go to Game Manager. This doesn't have a step event yet. It's fine. I'll make a step event just for this. We'll delete it later. If in check team 0, we're gonna game end. So we'll just crash the game if we're in check. Uh-oh. Why does it want me to have that variable? Okay, legality checker. Why? Are you like this? We might get multiple. Oh, that shouldn't be like that. We might get multiple of that type of error now, which is fine. Yeah.
No, we don't want to return false. Okay, well, look at what's happening in the output. Something is trapped in an infinite loop. And the question is just, how is this happening? Okay. Are you guys seeing this? I can't allow access. This is not a real pop-up. It's just being drawn on the screen, potentially. Okay. Look at that. Memory is slowly filling up. We are... Dang it. What's the thing that you're supposed to do that tells you what's taking up what amount of memory? Okay, we're gonna stop this. Okay. I'm gonna debug. Start profiling. Okay, why are you not giving me any output right now? Aren't you supposed to be giving me output while I'm doing this? Then if we stop, it doesn't tell us anything. Okay, well, thanks for that. I am looking at the tutorials on the debugger, profiling, whatever. Okay. No, I didn't want to bookmark that. Okay. It should be working. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. Okay. I genuinely don't know what is happening here. But somehow we're running this... We're getting stuck in a loop. If we remove this line of code, does it go away?
Yes, so the is in check go. Never mind. It started again when I tried to pick up the queen. Okay. Is the queen the only one that's causing this, or do other pieces also cause this? They do. Okay. So it's something that's running for all of the pieces. Is it this call of underscore ID dot has moved? That's like the only thing I can think of that's changed. I want to keep this commented out so that I can mess around with more stuff. Oops. It's not that. It's the legality checkers causing this somehow. Because it happens when we call get piece at tile, which calls the legality checker. No, sorry. It happens when we call is in check, which calls the legality checker here. And it happens when we try to grab a piece, which calls the legality checker here. Somehow, we are getting stuck in here forever. There are a few while loops in here, but none of them apply to pawns. So the fact that this can happen when you pick up a pawn indicates that a while loop is not at fault. Now the problem is this is a jump point to calling a lot of different things. Is calculate tile at fault somehow? No, but it does seem to be getting called over and over again. So I think that calculate... Oops, what did I just do? Okay. What did I do? Okay. Let's find calculate tile. Now, unfortunately, that method gets called a lot of times in here. There's 10 calls to calculate tile in here. Now, what I do notice, we run this, we do get the string of this every time that we see anytime that we see that, like, ordered pair popping up, that's calculate tile.
Just now that I look at it, that's actually 4 different ordered pairs. They're getting repeated over and over again. But that other one that's just 1, that is not calculate tile. So we need to figure out what that is, because that's gonna get us to another good place. Unless it's not that. If we comment out both of those lines, what do we see? Absolutely no output. That's bizarre. We're getting stuck running through. See, what's so weird about this, guys? What's so weird about this, is that we are. That code is only in the bishop case. Which means that. What does it mean? What does that mean? That even when we pick up a pawn, which should be the first thing here, this should not run if the piece type is a pawn. You know, that we're still running the bishop code. So, like, clearly, it's not finding its piece type. Which, let me look in. See, because it's weird, because when I first changed the way that piece types were handled, this didn't happen. This is somehow a consequence of some subsequent change that I made. We're never getting to the point of calculating a tile, either. Okay. Every piece is type 0. But that's not true. Because if they were type 0, then they would... Oh, never mind. There's other numbers in here, too. Yeah, this looks exactly what it should be. This has to have something to do with why is type red? That's my question. Because type being red, it's a red flag. Tells me that variable... Yeah, look at that. It's returning 3s and 4s, even though that's a pawn that I picked up. But then even if it was 3 or 4, shouldn't it be running the code for piece type 3 or 4? Why is it running the legality checker infinitely? This is a multifaceted problem. Okay, it's still happening. What does this mean? Oh boy, I am stumped. Why is it that when I pick up a pawn, which is piece type 0, we look at the ID of that pawn, and check the piece type of that ID, it's not 0. Where are these 3s and 4s coming from? Oh, Jesus. No, I'm... Guys, I think this is our darkest day. This is the darkest chapter of our journey here on the GameMaker chess engine. Because I am just stuck. Honestly, I really don't know why this is happening. At all. Where's this? What's this underscore type variable? Why are we checking that? I don't think it's likely, but could that be the source of our problems? Oh, hey, we're getting somewhere. Oh, never mind. But wait. This code is running. This code is running. This is a crazy mystery. Run this. Let's just see what happens. It's filling up with 2s, so that's not increasing infinitely. That's not the problem. Okay, that code's not running at all. This is so confusing. I really don't think I'm actually going to figure this out right now, which sucks. But yeah, I just don't think that I have the time to dig into this and really figure out what's going on. So I think this is going to be a bit of a cliffhanger ending. I'll be back in a little bit under a month though for my next stream. And honestly, I'm so stumped. If anybody has an idea of what might be going on here, leave a comment. So we'll run this on Bishop and just see. Calling itself somehow. No. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to call it. But you know, I'll be back and we'll figure out what's going on next time. Thanks to anybody who stopped by. Sorry the stream ended on a bit more of a somber note, but like I said, this is the darkest day. Every good story has one. So I hope that you'll all tune in about a month for my next stream and maybe check out some of my other uploads in the meantime. To plug some stuff, one, I'm going to be starting a TikTok page soon. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with it. I just know that it's a good way to get a broader reach and I want to share my content with more people. Two, make sure, you know, join the Coalition Discord server if you have any interest in that. There's always, you know, you can come in there and ask me for help with programming stuff, or just hang out. I'm not the only one. Either there's my friends Jules and Evers, with whom, you know, we're together creating content. Yeah, and you know, just come by if you want to hang out with anybody there. And get updates on when I'm going to be posting stuff. So thanks for stopping by, and